And everybody that attended the Anzac Day celebrations yesterday. I just before we go into our council meeting, I just want to have a minute's silence for Mr. Adrian Hill, the owner-operator of Hill Transport, large employer in town, forestry contractor, who passed away yesterday. So we could just have a minute's silence, please, in recognition of Adrian and all what he's done for this community. Okay, thank you, councillors. All right, good afternoon, members of the public and staff. Welcome. I'd like to call for apologies, please. We have from Councillor Truman. Any other apologies? Full house by the look of it. Could I have a move of Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Conflicts of interest. During the course of this meeting, I'll be declaring a conflict of interest on item number 3, so I'll ask the Deputy Mayor to carry that agenda item out for me, please. Councillor Christoski.
Yes, I'll be declaring a conflict of interest on agenda item 4, and I will not be participating in the vote.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Christoski. All right, we'll go to confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting on the 29th of March. If I could have any typos or any matters arising from those minutes, please. That's on 1/1.
Chairman.
Councillor Boddy.
Chairman, I just want to raise this business of this trip to China, and I don't want to keep harping on about it. When this originally came before us, it made comments in regards of our expenditure being airfares for 2 persons. We have an additional person going on that trip, and our agenda item is actually stating that, the minutes actually state would be managed within the original budget. I also found it quite interesting that Councillor Park made the comment at the last meeting that no cost to the ratepayer, and then no additional money. Now, if there's an extra person going, there would be additional money. Can anyone give me the exact costing, including visas, interpreters, etc., that's going to be on this council? Because it's a pretty wide shotgun thing, $2,000 to $4,000.
The original budget was set at $2,000 to $4,000. Well, Mrs. Walker, business manager in the house today. Mrs. Walker, have we got an exact cost yet, or I suppose?
I don't have an exact cost that I can give you off the top of my head right this very moment. The budget we have set, however, we do believe that we will be able to cover those 2 additional people to be on the delegation within the budget that was of $2,000 to $4,000.
So for clarification, that's the 2 to 4?
Correct.
Okay. So that does not include visas, incidentals?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Having had some experience in the past, and I won't go into the details, when do you collectively buy your airfares, assimilate the cost, bill the other parties? Will all the other parties, Mr. Chairman, have paid to the council prior to going?
Correct. They've already been invoiced.
Yeah. Can you now tell us how many of the business community are part of that trip?
Don't have the list sitting on me exactly, but the delegation was 19 people. Can I get back to you on the exact numbers so I can give you some specifics?
Okay, thank you.
So 19 people?
19 people.
Right, thank you.
So the educationalists and the Ngāti Tūwharetoa will be paying their own costs?
Correct.
Thank you.
And also the Xiaojing government paying some of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there is a grant that has been given for 1 person from the education sector and 1 person from Tūwharetoa that covers their international flights and their time in Xiaoxing. They are paying for their own other expenses, which include their own personal visas, insurance, accommodation for the rest of the time, and travel to the other ground.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So therefore, after this trip, we as council will receive a full breakdown of those costs and the cost to council.
Correct. We will do, as we did last time, we'll do a full report.
Thank you.
Councillor Lottie, any other questions or queries of the minutes? Okay. Yes, Councillor
Just for
Harvey?
clarification, if there are any outstanding costs or anything extra to be paid, I'm more than happy to pay them.
Thank you for the offer, Councillor Harvey. I appreciate you taking time to come out with the delegation.
Okay, and I will be very appreciative of I am very appreciative of the offer, and I think it's a great opportunity to actually integrate with the people of China, and I think it is going to be a very worthwhile opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. All right. Can I have a mover for those minutes, please? Thank you, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Seconded by Councillor Stewart. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried. Item number 2, we go to Mangakino Paokani Representative Group meeting on the 15th of March. I'll probably move all these on block in the end, at the end, if you like. So, any on the Mangakino meeting? Okay, we'll go to the Ad Hoc Bylaw Review Committee. Any questions and queries on that? Mr. Jakes.
Just a change on 2 bar 8 down the bottom of the page. The last bullet point there, it should read members agreed to delete the deletion of the words, because it was deleted, undeleted and then deleted again. So just for clarity, it should read members agreed to delete the deletion of the words and cats from clause.
Mr. Chairman, that's
Does that make sense?
Chairman, that's now brought up a question from the submitters from the bottom of the lake in regards to that. I've had an email with Nick. Nick, when we get to doing the bylaws, will you address that issue? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or queries on those minutes? Okay, that being the case, we go to Fences, Roading and Reserves Dogs Committee on the 4th of April. Exactly those minutes. And then the Taupo Airport Authority Committee held on the 11th of April. Okay, no questions or queries on those minutes? All right, we'll move those on block if that's okay. Councillor Boddy, seconded by Councillor Kostowski. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 3, if I could ask Councillor Hickling, please, to...
Are you going to leave the chambers? Shall I chair from here?
I'll come up here if you like, Barry, and I'll...
Well, okay. Okay. We'll go in the hot seat. Oh, Nick, good. Well, this has gone through workshops and previous council meetings. So, Nick, is there any other comments you'd like to draw our attention to?
I guess there are a lot of words sitting in the report, as there often are. The key issue for you to get your heads around is whether you wish us as officers to proceed with physical works on the reserve, given all the deliberations you've had to date, or whether you wish to go out and seek some further community views, particularly around the extension of the road to the eastern end of that reserve. That really is the crux of the issue.
Thank you, Chairman. I guess from my perspective is the question that I keep asking myself is, in view of the fact that we had a legal challenge to the process around this already, which particular one of those options do you think is the most legally correct under the circumstances?
I guess just to clarify, 2 points. First of all, I'm not a lawyer, so I'll be careful. I believe he's on holiday, lucky beggar. But secondly, as I understand it, you haven't had a legal challenge. You've had some correspondence which has suggested there could well be a legal challenge if you don't make the decision that's being sought. In terms of looking at this issue, the safest path, I believe, the absolutely safest path is to go out and consult the community specifically on the extension of that road in the reserve area and the removal of the chain. That would remove any question about whether you had fulfilled your responsibilities in terms of consulting the community and seeking their views. Similarly, it could be argued that that's going over the top, above and beyond. And that's very much why the paper has been drafted the way it has, to give you a number of different options. Because ultimately it's a governance decision about what views you believe you require to make a decision.
So it's really, should you wish to continue with your previous decision to remove the chain, then we're saying consultation is the safe way, is a must. If you want to change that decision, that then obviously of course will mean that you don't necessarily need to go out for consultation again. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just that there's a process, a mechanism that would wrap around if you still want to make that decision that you previously indicated that you did.
Just to clarify, for my peace of mind, the correct procedural thing at the moment would be to abide by our district plan policy.
Just picking up on Gareth's point and answering yours, you have a district plan which has legal requirements. You're obliged to meet those legal requirements. That's a given, and we've assumed that that's a given in terms of the decision making you've made to this point in time. I think the first thing you need to decide is what outcome you want, and then we can advise you on the best process to achieve that outcome. Does that make sense? Work out what it is you want to do, and then we can help you get to that point in the safest, most legally secure way as possible.
So, councillors, there are three options. There's pros and cons and advantages and disadvantages on those three options, 1, 2 and 3. I think they are fairly clear in terms of what those advantages are and the disadvantages.
Chairman, can I just please raise the question in regards of that management plan from 2008? Doesn't specifically, I don't believe, mentions Kinloch, but we have on page 4(2) the policy implications. And once again, it's a bit like another subject we're going to be dealing with later. It talks about have a mow and grass surface. Is there anything in that policy implication that's contradictory to the 2008 reserve plan?
I think as a council you've discussed previously through, obviously through the hearings process, the reserve management plan talked about permeable surfaces being utilised in the Kinloch situation, much as it does in the Whare-Waka situation that you'll talk about in the next item. That's simply a tweak, a minor tweak to the reserve management plan if you decide to go down the road of making the road a non-permeable surface. So that's a very minor element in the whole decision-making process, I believe. The key thing, as I mentioned earlier, is for you to clarify exactly what the outcome is that you're looking for in terms of whether you wish to see the road extended, whether you wish to see the chain removed, or whether you wish another outcome.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, I'm actually in preference of option 1, being that we do go out for consultation again. I mean, the district plan is quite a novel, but I was unaware of the district plan rulings around the poplars planted along the lakefront at Kinloch and the 4 metre exclusion zone of parking around those trees and whatnot. So I don't think we've actually gone out and consulted on what is definitely technically correct, and because this is a long-term project and we need the best outcome, that's where I feel most comfortable So I'm happy to move option 1.
Thank you, councillor Parker. Thank you, councillor Sturt. So it's been moved and seconded.
Just through the chair, I just have a question that possibly might be for Mr Green. Just in terms of funding this project, would this be a candidate for development contributions considering the growth out at Kinloch?
I guess like a lot of development contributions projects, there'll be an element which is related to growth and there'll be an element which is not. I would suggest that the protection of the existing trees, so those notable poplars, is something that we just required to do, and it would be hard to tag that back to growth. However, I think there is an argument that the beautification of the reserve through landscaping and particularly the extension of the road and parking facilities could be linked back to development contributions and therefore open up the opportunity to use that as a funding source.
Thank you. I would support Councillor Park's option 1 too as well. Thank you.
Just point of further clarification on page 3 bar 2, there's business of a sealed road. What does it actually say about notification? I just read it before.
Whereabouts,
I'm just
councillor?
trying to, only just seen it a second ago. Just under the policy implications, this means that any proposal that involves a sealed road will require a minor amendment to the reserve management plan. Similarly, if the reserves were to be closed to all vehicles, the reserve management plan would also require amendment. Did not the community out there come back by a great majority saying they want the whole thing open to the public? But to save all the cost of trees, roads amendments, if we closed it down, what would be the outcome? I.e. no access to vehicles.
So if your decision was to completely close the reserve to vehicles, we would have to make that amendment to the reserve management plan. We believe we could go ahead and do that without further consultation, given that that's something you've already talked to the community about and sought their views on. We would simply need to pass a resolution which would amend the existing reserve management plan to then be in line with your decision-making process.
Any further comments, councillors?
Yeah, through the chair, just following on Councillor Boyd's comments regarding the high interest in maintaining it open for parking, etc., access. It's probably, would it be wise to go out for further consultation, because all the other submitters, some or all may have felt they've been misled or misinformed of the whole process, so it doesn't particularly necessarily mean that decision is binding at this stage. It's just a consultation process.
Consultation process. So if there's no further comments, it's been moved and seconded. Bernard?
I might just ask a question. It's sort of semi-related to this. Just recently we held a jet bike and jet ski festival out there. Is there any feedback from any of the property owners as regards to that?
Not from the property owners. There was the Residents Association had some comments, but it was more about our communication of that event. So yeah, nothing negative or positive, to be quite honest.
Nothing relating to the actual reserve, which is the reserve that we're talking about at the moment.
In relation to
Negative or positive feedback or that kind of thing.
there was a little bit of a feeling that on the one hand we're doing this process but allowing that event, but I didn't feel much tension there really. They were generally quite supportive of the event.
And there was quite a well-attended event from what I saw when I went out there.
Apparently, and very well managed as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, any further questions, councillors, please? So it has been moved and seconded. So I'll put it to the meeting. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor, for doing that item. Item number 4, Great Lake Walkway Footpath Extension, Whariwaka.
So I'm a hologram of Andrew Bowden. So you'll recall that we had a workshop on this. Personally, I think it's a really exciting project, this one. It's some real great potential here. So on the 14th of March, we did a site visit, we did a workshop. Andrew outlined some options. The report outlines those options, and there are, at that workshop, it was also identified that Council had received NZTA, New Zealand Transport Authority funding to assist with the funding of the footpath. And there's a shortfall which is identified in the report of $147,700 exclusive of GST. So the purpose of this item is to outline some opportunities to fund that shortfall from development contributions. And also we need to, as alluded to in the previous item, need to tweak, if we are to proceed with this project, tweak the reserve management plan, because currently it refers to a grass path as opposed to a concrete path. So I'll try and answer any questions you've got.
Okay, thank you, John. And Mr. Bowden is in hospital?
Yeah, he's pretty sick. I spoke to him this morning. He's not very well.
Not well. Okay, all right. If you could pass on our regards. All right, any questions, please, of Mr. Ridd regarding this item? No? Pretty straightforward? Okay, so there's a suggested resolution there. Get into it. Could I have a
I'd like to
moved
move
by
the
Councillor
suggested
Hickley?
resolution, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Hickley, and seconded by Councillor Harvey.
So, Mr. Chairman, we're going with the option of the road and the walkway.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
All right, been moved and seconded. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 5.
Could you limit my extension, please?
Thank you very much, Councillor Krasowski. Abstained. Item number 5. Review of the draft statements of intent received from council-controlled organisations. Ms. Walken. Nice to see you.
So in the March meeting, you received the draft statement of intent from our 6 CCOs. You then instructed us to go and to review these on your behalf, and then also we had a workshop for the DGLT one for you to give any feedback, and we also requested, if you did have any specific feedback, to email those through to us. So we've had a team of us going around doing these reviews over the last month or so. And as you can see, there's not a huge amount that council really feels it needs to feedback on these at this stage. Local authority shared services LAS, we were satisfied from an officer perspective with that statement of intent. BOTPLAS, we did have some concerns. You'll note that on page 5/8. We've been involved with BOTPLAS for a number of years, and it has delivered some significant benefits to our council to date. However, I guess as times are moving, we've joined with all of government, and there are a number of other contracts that are providing better value for the district council. So we have been shuffling that around. We are pulled in 2 directions, so we go to LAS, which is the shared services up the Waikato, as well as BOTPLAS. So basically what we are requesting that BOTPLAS do is to reflect the changes in the shared services and procurement environment at a greater degree within their SOI, and that they look at an opt-in option where costs are better spread across the council. So we've done obviously we do reviews of these, and there are a number of areas where I think that they can rationalise those expenses better. So that's the feedback we've got on BOTPLAS. TAA, there is no feedback on that one that officers felt was needed. DGLT similar position, which I personally am quite pleased in some respects with, because it shows that we are actually working far more collaboratively with our CCOs, that we get to a point that we aren't pushing things back strongly through formal items. And then local government funding agency, again, we are satisfied with that statement. You'll see on all of those that the timeliness was within the legislative timeframes for all of those. So I guess now is we've got a resolution, proposed resolution there. However, this is an opportunity for you to add additional commentary, should you wish to those statements of intent.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Walker. Any questions or query or additional commentary, as you recall, as you'd like it to Mrs. Walker?
I'm not looking at you, Zane.
I'll move the resolution.
It's been moved by Councillor Williamson, thank you.
If I can just make a couple of comments, if I may, please. Number one is at the recent local government reforms session held by the Minister, his name escapes me at the moment, but it's as complicated as my name. There were suggestions of closer economic relationships, if you like, between various organisations such as PopLess and LESS and of different regions. I think something to be cognizant of in the future is that we incorporate some of the central government's desires to have even greater cooperation and collaborations than what we currently have, in order to provide better service infrastructure, if you like, and cost savings to our ratepayers. That's number one. Number two, on the TAA, is that as and when in the future our tourism numbers grow, particularly from Auckland, is perhaps that we need to allow perhaps some funding in our next long-term plan for possible extensions to either our infrastructure, such as the building itself, or other type of infrastructure that will facilitate greater tourism numbers than it can currently accommodate. Just some thoughts.
Thank you, Councillor Chris.
So just through the chair to Councillor Chris, regarding the TAA, any works that may be needed to be done on the terminal or luggage area, pick-up, drop-off area or whatnot, is a 50-50 relationship with the Crown, and we're quite proud of the financial position of the airport. But yeah, the long-term future of income streams and whatnot of the airport are definitely something that we might like to see in the LTP.
Yeah, just in response to that, it wasn't a criticism as much as an observation that there are times when the airport building is working right to capacity. And I guess it's something that we need to look at in the future to provide sufficient capacity if and when the tourism numbers grow.
Already on our radar.
Thank you. Councillor, got seconded by Councillor Cousins. Yep. It's moved by Councillor Williamson. Any other commentary? All right, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 6.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Report.
It's a reasonably direct Chief Executive's report this month. I'll take the item as read, and we have the team available to answer any questions if necessary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions, queries of the Councillor Body?
Mr. Chairman, I took this up with Mr. Ward prior to the meeting. On the, no, it's not, I've got it, 6/3. Rob was still mentioning that 2.125 to do with Waitanui, and it's again mentioned on page, or the addition to the supplement to the financials that went to the report. How does that balance out, Mr. Ward?
Sure, thank you, Councillor. So the 2.125 that's mentioned there is in relation to what was shown in the long-term plan budget. So if you recall, in the long-term plan capex for water for Waitanui, the project was $2.4 million estimate at that stage, and the estimate of the subsidy was 85%, which equates to 2.125. So those numbers are referring to the long-term plan. Obviously, the project has moved along since then, and we've now got more information on what the subsidy from the Ministry of Health is, which is
1.9425 million, which is the figures for the subsidy. So the numbers in there are fine as stated. One is referring to what was in the long-term plan and the more up-to-date information. The 1.942 is what we currently know as the subsidy from Ministry of Health.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, then on the papers that we had handed out, they were additional because they weren't in their document. So that mentioned at the bottom is current, even though it says it's forecast.
Yeah. So the numbers in the financials there, obviously this is the annual plan budget, which is from the LTP. So we have to report back against that. So that's why the figure of 2125 is in there. The more recent information tells us that the subsidy is 1942,250. So that's, if you like, an actual. But we are legally obliged to report back against budget, which is the LTP.
So the last one which will be mentioned will be the financials for June this year.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Councillor Cousins.
Just through the chair, just a couple of questions and a comment to various managers. One is on page 6.7. Kirsty's not here to answer, but just wondering about the Mangakino upgrade. It says it's just about finished. Is that, where are we? A week to go? It's all on track?
It is all on track, and I understand we're talking, the next sort of fortnight to finish.
Might run into sort of May. Maybe.
Yep.
On page 6/26, Chloe might be able to answer since Will's not here. Under number of bed nights and also unemployment, you might be able to answer as well. I see we're slipping behind the national averages there. It's more so than last report we had. Or my misreading figures. The annual bed nights growth with 3%, New Zealand's 4.7. Oh, sorry, that's unemployment, sorry. Unemployment, actually, what's it doing?
That's good.
Going down. Yeah. You want it under.
Oh, there's an error from there.
But yeah,
We don't have a million people unemployed.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So just with regards to the annual bed night growth, though, we are slipping a little bit. Any reason, do you think, as we're...
Yep, we've got a pretty there's a couple of things that so those are CAM stats.
Yes.
So there's commercial accommodation. And basically, we are a town that thrives off book batch.
Leading into book batch and private
So we get a
rentals.
huge amount that goes into there. There's also an anomaly that's set in those numbers that we've lost a bulk of bed nights that never actually were lost. That is an MB reporting issue that's happened in that period, so we're hoping to see that reflected. Note that these are, we give you these numbers quarterly, so we actually do have more updated numbers than that, which we'll be giving to you.
Good. And you've seen that trend already, is it?
Yeah, so basically we're still growing, 3% still up, but we aren't growing at the same rate as New Zealand, but that's.
We know why,
We
we
know
think.
why.
And further down, just 6/27, just that you know that under economic impact of top tier events, the Turanga East Festival or the Calibre Festival is going to cease to exist. We're going to remove it from our calendar. We're looking at doing something else in Turanga instead, probably in June. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Councillor Williamson.
Just out of curiosity, with the sales of haylage, is that dropped away because the production's dropped away, or the demand, or the weather, or the source of?
No, it dropped away. You'll remember I briefed you on some correspondence which Fonterra had with their farmers. That correspondence has been rectified now, and our sales are back up, and we've made up time. So the next report will show that we've made up the losses that we had.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Councillor Boddy.
Quick one, this is nothing to do with the report. Sorry, it's mentioned in Rob's report about the visit of the Governor-General. Were we informed as councillors? I don't believe I was, but I found it interesting if that's the case. I'm not sure about my fellow councillors, but I was unaware until I read the news or heard the news.
I've got 2 days before.
I just thought the courtesy would have been as councillors to have the Queen or the Governor-General in town, we might have been informed. Could just then refer to 6/39, and I'm wondering, Mr. Chairman, whether you can tell me what you see that's different on that page from last month, Mr. Chairman? Six bar 39. Can you tell me what's different on that page from last month? Yeah, you get an Easter egg if you get it right.
What's different from the last agenda?
I'm just saying that I think council
The
officers...
colours.
Yeah, I think council officers have taken the black away. It's more easy to read. Just on that that page then, and I'll ask Mr Ward, and with yesterday being a holiday, I didn't get the chance. Under the, this is 6 bar 39, Bank of New Zealand, 1.6 million last month was 14.5. Been transferred somewhere else. Now we have on term deposits.
Right, I don't have last month's report with me, but off the top of my head, I'd say it's probably into Westpac, given that it's now 22 million. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, as deposits mature, depending on who's given us the best rate on the day, it switches around between counterparties.
Thank you.
All right. Councillor Dollins.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just through the chair to Mr Williams, could you give us an update on how submissions are coming along for the annual plan, because it closes end of next week, I understand?
Yeah, we currently have 10 submissions.
10. Are they predominantly
How long
about
to go?
water?
Not too sure about what the content is as yet. We haven't really analysed them until submission period closes.
Okay, thank you.
May the 6th.
Okie dokie. All right. Any other questions or queries of the Chief Executive? Okay, suggested resolution. We received the report. I have a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Item number 7. Making the Trade Waste Bylaw and General Bylaw number 1 suite of bylaws. Okay, we have Mr Nick Carroll and Jane Budge in the chair this afternoon.
Again.
Good afternoon, guys.
Your Worship, I'll just cover off one issue to start with, and then I'll hand over to Jane, who's the expert in this area. Some of you will have received a copy of an email from Mr Nevilleston, which I forwarded earlier today. Some of you won't have got that, so a copy's been printed and is being tabled and passed out. Excuse me, that email raises a couple of issues and suggests that there may be some legal problems with you adopting the bylaws, particularly the Reserves and Public Places bylaw, as recommended by the committee that went through the whole hearing process. Unfortunately, with our legal counsel away, I've had to go outside of council, so I had a brief discussion with Tompkins Wake this morning and sought their advice. There's an email containing that advice, which is also being tabled and circulated to you. In essence, there are probably 3 key points. The suggestion in the email from Mr Nevilleston is that you're not in a position where you can create a bylaw which allows cats to be on reserves. And he's pointed to the offence sections in the Reserves Act as the basis for that decision. As you'll see from the advice from Tompkins Wake, that's not actually the case in reality. In terms of the legal position, the offences section in the Reserves Act says these are some things which you're not allowed to do unless council or another authority which is in charge of the reserves allows those things to happen. And that's exactly what you have, or what the committee is proposing you do through the bylaw. So the bylaw clause 22 says that thou shalt not have animals on the reserves except for dogs and cats. So that's essentially what you're doing. You're allowing an exception for dogs and cats to be on reserves. And as noted in the minutes which you received earlier, there are real practical reasons why you would do that. So first point is you are able to do what is being proposed. Second point is, from a practical perspective, it makes a lot of sense. It's nigh on unenforceable to be able to chase up individual cats and their owners every time that they venture onto a reserve. It makes no sense to pass a bylaw which you have no ability to enforce in any pragmatic way. The third point that Lachlan from Tompkins Waite makes is that you also need to have an evidential basis when you're regulating over the top of people's rights. In this situation, there is not an evidential basis which has been created to show that cats are the scourge of the earth and therefore should be prohibited from being on reserves. So there are those three key points which have been raised by Mr. Nevelston and addressed by the lawyer Lachlan Muldowney from Tompkins Waite. I'm happy to take any questions on that. Any questions about the bylaws in general are probably much better directed to Jane, who knows them inside and out.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. Any questions of Jane, or did you want to make any commentary, Jane? Or?
Just that the,
Councillor Stewart.
Just a question on the wording then, because we've said dogs and cats. Should we, this is just a question about, should we put domesticated cats? Because then if people want to get rid of feral cats, then they're perfectly at liberty to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Just to clarify that.
How do you tell the difference, Mr. Chairman, between the two?
If you've trapped cats, John, then you would know that if you had a feral cat or a domestic cat, would I think.
All right. Councillor Williamson, did you have any comments?
Oh, I was just saying, how would you know who owns the feral cats? I mean, it's a logistical nightmare, isn't it?
The ones with nice fur and microchip.
Wildling cats.
Species.
All right. Jane, sorry. Did you want to say anything, Jane? Or?
only that I would agree, but yes, I wouldn't agree with the corporate solicitor here. He's suggesting domesticated dogs and cats. As discussed with Nick earlier, the dogs are actually taken care of by the Control of Dogs Act, and I wouldn't want to get it mixed up with the Act.
Just purely because I'm not on that committee and wasn't that in different parts where it's about people can approach the chief executive if they think they've been done wrong by or whatever, or the delegated representatives being blanked out in all the bylaws. Was there any?
It is actually superfluous to requirements because effectively your employer is the chief executive. His delegations are set out separately.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Okay, any other?
I just had a question in regards to the skateboard banned areas. I happened to be on the lakefront over the weekend, and I noticed a number of people on skateboarders moving at pace. I'm just wondering whether that new section of Lake Terrace could be part of that, because it's really just along to Ferry Road, not further south. We've got pedestrians, we've got cyclists, now we've got skateboards there. It may well be covered by that map, but it only goes to Ruapehu Street.
This was the exact map out of the current requirements. If you're intending to actually widen the area, we probably need to go back out for a public consultation to actually state that you're actually, yes, widening those restrictions.
Why don't we just put the sign up and wait for the reaction? And then say, oops, we made a mistake.
Would you like to put...
No one's game enough.
Through Mr. Chairman, what I'd say, I guess, is, as I see your point, post Tūwhare Toa Treaty Settlement, we're going to need to look at that boat harder anyway, and I'd say that's probably the time to then include it, given the advice that you've had that we have to go back out for consultation. So it's probably one of those ones that we can address in the near future.
This is more further south.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, all right. There's a suggested recommended resolution on 7/6. 1 through till 12.
Just one question through the chair. Question to Jane. When we had our hearings, we didn't discuss fees on the litter bylaw, did we? This is new information, is that correct?
No, that's the current ones that have been set, but we do have to re-litigate those under the new litter bylaw. The Litter Act's actually quite clear, and there's a process that you must follow.
Sure, so this is just following the processes. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I just check that if we get queries from Mr Nevilson, our officers of the council will be prepared to answer?
You as chair will probably.
Because we do get a few phone calls from that gentleman.
Okay. All right, can I have a mover then, please? Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Seconded by Councillor Christowski. 1 through to 12. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 8. Property Update Report, April 2016. Afternoon, Flash, and afternoon, Sue. Right.
I assume we'll take the document as read. I'll update you with a few things that have happened since the document was created. Botanical Heights, we now have another signed agreement and another one awaiting signature. So that takes us to 8. 300 Crown Road is now unconditional. It shows up in here as conditional. It's not, it's now unconditional. 189 Napier Road closes on Friday, so hopefully we'll have something for you at the next report. And 518 Lake Terrace is in negotiations. So that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you, Flash. Any queries of the report, councillors?
Chairman, just a query in regards to 8/3. Last month we had those properties at Camosa, Crescent, etc. being at 191, 8/3.
Yep.
At the bottom, there's no market on the market for or on the market. We're 191.
Being as we're in open council, we thought it prudent not to push, but not to put in there what we would accept, as in effect that then becomes a set price. I'm more than happy to let you know those prices. I can email them through to councillors if they wish to see them, but just from a commercial sense, it's probably not a good idea to say what we'd accept on everything until we've let the market tell us whether they think it's worth more.
So, Your Worship, so how many sections does that leave in the Botanical Heights now?
It's 4 sections.
So is that triggering the next?
One more section.
One more.
Trigger that to resolution.
Chairman, can we at some time, and maybe the next month or the month after, can we have a breakdown? It's now, next month will be 2 years since we started that subdivision. And I'd like to know the total costs of what's gone up there to our returns at the moment in regards of total use of money.
Yep, that's
We can easily do that, yep.
Easy. Development, staff time, the whole lot.
Okay, thank you, Flash, and thank you, Sue. Any other questions or queries of those guys? No? Just a resolution that the update reported, and thank you guys for all the work. It's appreciated. Mover, please, Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Christowski. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Item number 9, elected members' remuneration. Tabling, what are you tabling here, Tina?
Resolution.
A suggested, updated resolution. Oh, that's as per the, our discussion the other day. Yep, cool. Thank you, Tina.
Nothing further to add to the report. We've had the workshop, and the suggested resolution is based on the information that was discussed there, which is the Deputy Mayor an additional payment, responsibility payment, and to confirm that the Chair of the Turangi Tongariro Community Board does carry out those additional duties as Chair. Then that will go to the Remuneration Authority for their approval and subsequent gazetting.
Okay, thanks, Tina. All right, any questions?
Just a query, Mr Chairman, to Mrs Jakes in regards to the way it's written. When we had our, whatever it was, workshop, or we got the information 9/1, the Deputy Mayor receives an additional 20%, but the resolution just says an additional 6,000 whatever of the base councillor salary. So
that-
should that 20% be included, which would be that 6,600?
Yeah, it can be that, but that is the 20%. So can include that if you wish
Do you need
for
an official amendment to do that?
clarity.
Well, I
Okay,
move
so
that
right-
20% be added, Mr Chairman, for clarity.
So an additional of that amount, which
And I'll just put in.
which is
I'll just
20%.
Which is
20%. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay, we'll give him the wording. Yep, got that. Shane's got that. Thank you, Councillor Body. Deputy Mayor, any commentary on your wage rise?
No comment. Negotiation.
Just checking. All right, I just wanted to confirm, a board member, if you're a board member and a councillor, do you get the two amounts?
No. So for the chair, it's only applies to those that are community board members. If you're a councillor, you won't get the additional money.
Okay, no, that's fine. Cool. All right, Councillor Jollins?
Just through the chair, Tina, this is no change from the current status quo, is it? That's correct, thank you.
Okay, suggested resolution there is amended by Councillor Body. Will you move that, Councillor Body?
I'll move.
Seconded by Councillor Cousins. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. And the chair again, Tina. Council engagements, May.
So there's a couple of things. If you could add in a new one for the 24th of May. And that would be after the Healthy Rivers workshop.
Right.
Or before, don't mind.
And that's for
So that's for CBD development.
Taupo or Turing?
Taupo.
Yep. Okay, so do you want to,
Confirm
councillors
that.
want to do that after 2 or before or midday?
You need an hour and a half.
Before.
An hour and a half, so it'd be 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock?
That's a Tuesday though. Yeah. Is it? Councillor Harvey, I'm thinking of you.
Be here.
Yeah.
What's that?
Won't be here.
You're not going to be here on the 24th anyway.
No, nor will you.
I know.
I'm an apology as well.
We'll be away. Tuesday?
I'll be
Okay, well-
alternate CDU.
We'll look at another date and bring that to you.
Still have the Healthy Rivers one.
Yes.
Because John Williamson will be here.
The other thing is the LGNZ conference in July in Dunedin. We'll bring that up on the next agenda for you to determine who's going to go to that. And we just need names or a name for the Zone 1 and 2 meeting at Ngarawahia, which isn't quite spelled correctly.
Yeah. So that's the 6th of May.
Yes.
Yeah, so have we got any volunteers for that now? I'm actually unfortunately going to be away.
I'm away as well.
No,
Through the chair, you can put my name down for that one. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Councillor Jollins. That'll be up in Ngarawahia. It's not Ngarawahia.
Yeah.
I was checking.
Just checking we're still awake, eh? All right, Councillor Park.
Just through the chair, on Monday the 2nd of May, the TAA are having a workshop on,
Briefing, yep.
yeah, a briefing, right.
Health and safety, risk management.
All right. Thank you, Tina. Any other queries or questions on the dates? The mover, please. Thank you. Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Jollins. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Members' reports. They can be fed through to the table. Much appreciated. Thank you for attending the Anzac Day services wherever you were. Any other verbal?
This is an aside. Who was responsible for the French wreath was very embarrassing when the two
Yes.
visitors came up and there was nothing for them.
Yeah. According to our guys that organised the day, they were to bring their own, but they never did. So
There was some mix-up somewhere.
mix-up, yeah. So the question has been asked. So we're just making sure that won't happen again.
Probably need to add one in. We probably need to have one or two on standby.
Spare, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They said they always used to have a spare just in case of. So.
Yeah. Cool.
I did go up afterwards and apologise, and they were quite understanding.
And you're fluent French?
Yes.
Excellent.
As well as you.
They're from New Caledonia, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. So we just need to move that resolution there. Members' reports. Thanks, Councillor Cousins. Seconded by Councillor Stewart. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. We'll move into confidence and we have a slight adjournment. That's okay. So move into confidence. Moved by Councillor Park. Seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Okay, we'll just adjourn for a few minutes. Thank you.